Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. I'm Brian Wright, and I'm joined by Maria Vasquez. We are going to be talking about Week 8 in Pinal County football. So our game of the week is Florence hosting Queen Creek Benjamin Franklin. And this is going to be a tough one for Florence because if you look at Benjamin Franklin, they are ranked number 1 in Class 3A right now. They've not only are they undefeated, but they've played a really tough schedule. So, Maria, what do you think some of the biggest challenges for Florence are going to be in this game?
Well, aside from who they're facing, the Gophers are having their own troubles on the field. They're on a slight losing streak right now, and it's gotten from bad to worse for the Gophers as the season has progressed.
That losing streak is at 5 games now since they won in Week 1. And last week they put up a good fight against Coolidge. Coolidge is doing really well this year, but they came up short 34-21, and that snapped a 4-game winning streak that Florence had over Coolidge in that rivalry. Now, Benjamin Franklin is going to be an even tougher opponent for the Gophers. The Chargers have a really dominant rushing attack. And Maria, what's going to be how do you think Florence is going to have an opportunity to stay with Benjamin Franklin in this game?
Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have that opportunity. During the last game, Joshua Magnon left the game with the leg injury. We're still not sure, whether he's going to play this week, and he pretty much is the Gopher offense.
Yes, he is, and I think his status as far as is he going to play, is he not going to play, how close to 100% is he, is a huge factor in this game. It might really be the only way they can keep up. I will say this, though. Florence, although they have a massive challenge on their hands defensively to stop this Benjamin Franklin team, Reagan Terry, he's got some decent numbers this year. He leads, tied for the team lead with 51 tackles, and he has 6 tackles for a loss. However, this is a guy who has so many Division I offers, and I am just waiting for the dominant Reagan Terry to show up, and I don't think he's had as much of an impact on games as he or Florence would have liked to this point. So I want to see some more dominant play out of Reagan Terry. Maria, any final thoughts on this game?
It's going to come down. Whether Magnon plays or he doesn't, who else for the Gophers can step up on offense?
That does it for our breakdown on the game of the week, and enjoy the game on Friday night. Okay, let's talk about our picks for Week 8. And to this point in the season, I have just jumped ahead of Maria by just a tad. I am 45-14 on my picks, and Maria is 42-15. So let's start with our game of the week, which is Florence hosting Benjamin Franklin. And I think that Benjamin Franklin right now, it's basically a 2-team race in Class 3A between Benjamin Franklin and Queen Creek ALA. And I think that the Chargers just are too good. They have too much for Florence, so I'm going to take Benjamin Franklin.
I'm also going with Benjamin Franklin. I think the Chargers' offensive game is going to be a little too much for the Gophers to counterattack. Next, we have CG Union traveling to Tucson South Point Catholic. And although the Cougars have been on a roll lately, they are going to face a tough opponent with South Point Catholic and their top running back with Bijan Robinson.
And I don't have a pick in this game, but as Maria mentioned, Bijan Robinson is the top running back in the state. I spoke to Casa Grande defensive coordinator Randy Robbins a few days ago, and he said that Robinson is the best high school running back he's seen in Arizona history. So, big challenge for the Cougars. Next, we have Vista Grande hosting Tucson Catalina Foothills. Now, Vista Grande in the rivalry game last week against CG Union was beaten 56-7. They didn't really show much that would get you excited about their prospects for Catalina Foothills, which is 2-4, but their record is a little bit misleading. They've played some good teams. And while Vista Grande can move the ball a little bit offensively with quarterback Donald Altaffer, they've really struggled on defense and with their running game, and I don't see that changing on Friday, so I'm going to take Catalina Foothills.
I'm also going with Catalina Foothills. Vista Grande, they're just struggling right now, and until they can clean some of the things that Brian mentioned up, it's going to be hard for them to get that win. Next, we have Coolidge traveling to ALA Ironwood, and I picked ALA Ironwood last week when they were going up against Santan Foothills because I really thought that was their one game where they could get a win. Going up against Coolidge and, the dynamic dual threat between the Rodriguezes, Valentine and Greg, I just don't see the Warriors getting that win this week.
No, I don't either. And while Ironwood has been able to keep some of these recent games close, Coolidge is going to be a step back up in competition. And I really see the Bears taking it to the Warriors in this game and winning by a blowout. So I'm going to take Coolidge. Next game we have is Santa Cruz staying at home to play Arizona Lutheran. Now, this game, I think it really comes down to Santa Cruz quarterback Austin Huckel is not going to play. And I think if he were to play, I'd probably give a slight edge to the Dust Devils. However, I think that him being out could be a significant factor in a game that looks like it's going to be close. So I'm going to have to take Arizona Lutheran in this one.
And as the Santa Cruz reporter, I did not get a pick in this game. But yes, Austin Huckel is a key component to the Dust Devils offense. Next, we have Poston Butte traveling to Tempe Marcos Deniza. And Poston Butte was very close to getting a win last week against Peoria. And going up against Marcos Deniza, I think they are going to get the job done this time around.
Well, as Maria said, it was a very close game, 1-point game against Peoria last week, and Peoria is a tough team. But Poston Butte's going to be going on the road to Marcos Deniza, and Marcos Deniza has a running back, Joaquin Bayless, who's got almost 1,000 yards and 11 rushing touchdowns right now. I think this is going to be another close game. However, the Broncos are going to need a better performance out of quarterback Gavin Lloyd, who struggled last week, although the running game was really good. So if they can get a better performance out of Lloyd, they have a good shot, but I'm going to take Marcos Deniza. Next, we have Combs at home against Phoenix Cortez. And Cortez is another one of these winless teams. They really have not been competitive. And Combs, conversely, has 2 straight games where they've scored over 50 points. Their offense is really rolling right now with quarterback Trey Buck and running back Joey Jensen being kind of the 2 stars of that offense. And I see more of the same, another big offensive performance and a big win for Combs.
I agree. I'm also picking Combs. Trey Buck was phenomenal last week. He had over nearly 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. I'm expecting another big game from him this week. Next, Apache Junction will host El Mirage Dysart, and AJ is nearly fully healthy again for the season, and that's big for the Prospectors and their defense. And they had they shut out Phoenix Washington last week. El Mirage Dysart is winless, so I think it's going to be another easy win for the Prospectors.
I agree with Maria on that, and as she mentioned, this was a defense that shut out Phoenix Washington last week, and Dysart is a step down, and maybe a significant step down from Phoenix Washington. So I would almost expect another shutout from the defense, and we know AJ can move the ball and can score with Gibson Lamaggio at quarterback, and they also had a nice performance last week from Ethan LeBrew, who gave them some complementary running game that they have not had for most of the season. Last, we have Santan Foothills going on the road to ALA Queen Creek, and as I mentioned earlier, along with Benjamin Franklin, ALA Queen Creek is the cream of the crop in 3A, a very dominant team. Santan Foothills got a win last week, but it was against winless ALA Ironwood. This is really a mismatch in a lot of phases, so I expect ALA Queen Creek to win going away in this one. They got a quarterback, Rand Jensen, who has thrown 27 touchdowns to just 1 interception. And so I think that passing game is going to be a little bit too much for the SaberCats.
Yeah, Santan Foothills, they've had their off weeks more than they've been productive, and going up against ALA Queen Creek, like Brian mentioned, they're pretty much in a league of their own, and it's going to be a tough task for the Foothills, and I don't think they're going to be able to come out with the win.
That does it for our picks. Remember to visit PenalCentral.com for all of your Pinal County football action, and we will see you next week.